Well, thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast. This is SlyMedia TV, and my name is Oscar Bambuka. And we hope we find you well wherever you are, whether local, regional, or international. Now, let me just start by giving you an update of what this program is all about. This is this and that. Icho ne icho. Ababatinobata nyaya dzakasiyana siyana. Nyaya dziri kuitika kumaraini, ngava mu Zimbabwe, ku South Africa. Regionally and internationally, we cover so many issues focusing on the society at large. Now, women constitute about 60% of Zimbabwe's population, and a lot of issues surround them, especially the girl child. Issues to do with rape, abuse from, could be the parents themselves. So on this program, we want to cast the spotlight on the girl child, focusing on a particular social platform which has gripped the entire web by storm. I'm talking about the Vagina diaries. Yes, we want to shed more light on that in the studio. I've got an activist from Katswe Sisterhood, Talent Jumo. Thank you so much for joining us on this and that.
Thanks, Oscar.
Maybe you can start by telling us, what is Katswe Sisterhood all about?
Katswe Sisterhood is a young women's organization, and our area of focus is body politics. We are basically working with young women in different corners around Harare, but also in SADC. And our agenda really is to support young women to recognize that they have rights, and in particular sexual rights and reproductive rights. Those are enshrined in the Constitution of Zimbabwe. We have so many policies in the land. And our agenda really is to make those policies known to young women. So we basically are going into communities, supporting young women to understand what kind of rights and entitlements they have. And then we also support them to recognize any violations and develop action plans that should enable them to act on any of those violations.
Now, you mentioned the word body politics.
Yes.
Okay, let's underline that term, body politics. What are you looking at?
We're basically looking at the whole idea that women and girls should have full control and ownership over their own bodies and lives. Because I believe that that is the entry point. If we're talking about women's empowerment, girl child empowerment, first allow that woman to have total control over her own body. I mean, I've heard we have a lot of campaigns around ensuring that women can participate in decision making, be it in the political arena or in government or in big businesses. But our belief is that if that particular woman is not able to determine what happens with her own body, for example, who she can sleep with, when and how, if that woman is not able to decide what they can put on a daily basis because somebody out there feels they have the authority to determine what a good woman should look like. If as a woman you're not able to do that, we want to make that a very political issue because it ultimately disempowers you. It means that you are not able to have full control and ownership of your own body, and therefore that I think that is the deepest form of disempowerment, and that is what we are looking to tackle.
Let's move on to just by looking at the title itself. Raises a lot of eyebrows. Vagina diaries.
Yes.
What led you to come up with such a term, Vagina diaries?
Because first I have one. and my whole identity, is grounded on my anatomy. I'm a woman, and how do we distinguish a man from a woman? It's basically on the basis of anatomy, and the vagina has been used to make us feel lesser of human beings.
Okay,
we are
who's
supposed
making you feel like that?
Okay, so I mean, we live in a society where somebody, if they get an STI, they'll say I have a women's disease, and meaning that they're basically blaming it on the woman they would have slept with. We live in a society where just because I have a vagina, I'm a woman, I find myself in places where I'm oppressed. I cannot say anything because you woman belong in the kitchen. But a good woman should behave in this particular way. So we find it very oppressive that by virtue of having the vagina, this particular anatomy, we are regarded as second-class citizens. In a patriarchal society, we live in a patriarchal society where male privilege, determines what happens. So males are basically more privileged than females, and the main distinction is really the anatomy. And so so
why couldn't you call it penis diaries?
No, because I mean, this is where our struggles are centered. I think this is we came up with the Vagina Diaries because we wanted to chronicle women's experiences, women's struggles based on what they face because they are women. And they are women because they're vaginas. So we're talking about the violations they face or the rape. We want to chronicle all those life experiences. And it's many struggles that are centered around the vagina. So you're being brought down because you're a woman, because you have this particular anatomy. You are made to feel, as if you have no value because of your particular anatomy. So I think for me, for us, we felt that we needed to reclaim this particular item, So the vagina, it should become our source of empowerment. We're basically reclaiming those terms, those ideas that have been used to bring us down.
You're saying the vagina can be used as a source of empowerment?
Yes. I mean, I believe that.
What do you mean as a source of empowerment?
Yeah, so this is what connects me to other women out there and girls. And when together, we become a lot more powerful. So
just because you've got a vagina? Just
because we have a vagina, our identity, I can be in a space where I'm linking with other women, other sisters, and this is the common boiling point. So if she's got a vagina, I'm willing to fight for her, right?
So the penis also needs to be empowered, eh?
Well, I think...
What's your take on that one?
Oscar, we are living in a patriarchal society, and men already are in positions of power. So...
How? In as far as the penis is concerned, how are they in power?
So the moment a woman who is pregnant goes to a doctor, they get a scan, they're told you're going to have a baby boy. The reaction in the family is that, oh, Baba Vauya, he's going to be the father of the household, the breadwinner. Oh, he's going to be this. And even if there's wealth in the family, already before that baby boy is even born, they're already being celebrated as the sole owner of whatever is in the household because they are the ones to carry the family name. And if you're carrying a baby girl, then we know the story. You're being basically being told, okay, so we should anticipate that some cows will happen. So already the fetus is being disempowered from that moment. The family realizes that there's going to be a baby girl. Okay, just hold on there. If you're just joining us, this is a live broadcast. This is SlyMedia TV, a program called This and That. In the studio, we've got an activist from Katswe Sisterhood. She's also part of the Vagina Diaries. We'll be back shortly.
Hello viewers, my name is Auntie Lucy. I am so excited to announce to you that we are going to be having a talk show live on SlyMedia TV online. Tinenge tichibata nyaya dzemudzimba dzepabonde, marriages ari kuparara. Muri kuzviona kuti dzimba dzakawanda dziri kuparara. Very way kupi kunyange ingava diaspora. So many things are happening. Tinenge tichitaura nyaya dzevanhu vasati vapinda mudzimba, tinenge tichitaura nyaya dzemasingle mothers. So please, you have to subscribe to SlyMedia TV online. You are not going to be disappointed.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is a live broadcast, and we thank you so much for all the feedback. Very soon we shall be opening the WhatsApp platform so that you can send in your various comments and ask anything related to the vagina. Okay, let's move on to the Vagina Diaries. Which are some of the stories coming out now?
So
from the diaries.
From the diaries. So what really inspired the Vagina Diaries is stories we collecting from young girls who are selling sex for survival in different communities around Harare. Hopefully Epworth, Dziwarasekwa, Caledonia. You know, we have little girls who are selling sex for survival, and we just felt that we needed to share these stories with the much wider community as a way of building awareness around the struggles that young women from impoverished households are facing. And it's stories about rape, about people. I don't want to call them clients because these are children. They're not supposed to be selling sex in the first place, selling anything in the first place. So you have clients that, pedophiles, men that will target these young girls. They know they cannot even negotiate safer sex. And even if they did, I mean, these men would still have their way. And some of the men don't even give them a cent after having, use them in that way. And for us, that is abuse. And we just wanted to bring this issue to the spotlight. And it's not the first time that, as Kazu's sisterhood, we are talking about this. Last year, we engaged the Gender Commission. They had a stakeholder conference. And this is one issue that we kept hammering on to say they have to investigate this whole issue of children who are selling sex for survival. And there's no momentum, so we're getting frustrated. and that's why we just thought, you know what? This story of our vaginas, stories of abuse, of rape, repeated rape, STIs, we get HIV. The struggles go on, and all these struggles are centered on the vagina. And so we wanted to profile that.
Okay. A lot of women are watching this live broadcast. What should they do in order to take care of their vagina? Could you cite my problems?
Okay, so okay, so basically, I think there are a lot of women out there who are. If you look at statistics, you see. I mean, I would talk about the national baseline survey on the life experiences of adolescents. It acknowledges that about 32% of women who have their first sexual encounter as a result of coercion. And it's basically rape. And I think for me 32% is actually it's just an estimate, but I think more women have been raped, and especially on their first sexual encounter. And you find that these things are not taken seriously.
By who?
By society. Your first sexual encounter, in most instances, somebody who is trying to perhaps a boyfriend or something like that.
So and when should the vagina have its first encounter?
Pardon?
When should the vagina have its first encounter?
What I'm saying is that it's as a result of coercion. So they're basically forced. So 32% of the population has been raped, basically. But you find that very few of them have actually been able to report to the police. And if you have been raped, you are supposed to get emergency contraception. So a lot of those pregnancies that we see are as a result of rape. Because a lot of young women will have their first sexual encounter without being very prepared for it. It's basically rape, right?
Okay, when you say prepared, how should they be prepared?
How do we prepare our girls? We have to ensure that they receive comprehensive sexuality education. A girl should, before they even start their menses, they should know what menses are. They have to understand their anatomy. They will need to know what happens with their vagina. They need to know how many holes they have, because you even have some young women who are much older, and not just young women who are very old, who do not know how many holes they have.
Which holes are you talking about?
The vagina, the anus, for example. They cannot distinguish.
Someone doesn't know.
I'm telling you, I've been in meetings where we try to demonstrate, condom use, and we are basically promoting the female condom. And we have people coming to ask you, so if I need to pee, what do I do? Because we are saying I can insert this way before I'm ready to have a sexual encounter, and they are, in the meantime, they are concerned that if they then need to pee. And then if you ask, if you ask the house, you realize that other women who even think they have a brilliant idea, they'll tell you, no, just take it off and then reinsert, because they think, they pee from their vagina. So that's just how bad it is. And I'm not talking about...
So the demonstrations, you do them on a door, or why I'm asking, because there are also women in the rural areas. How do you do your demonstrations?
Okay, so I mean, we basically have what we call pachoto platforms.
Okay.
These are safe spaces where we bring young women together to come and talk about their sexual experiences, their lives, and what they've experienced. So these are the same platforms where we also then talk about how to protect oneself from unwanted pregnancies, how to protect yourself from STIs, and that's where we bring in condoms. At the moment, we actually have a very good stock, the female condom and lubricants, because we want to talk about sex as a pleasurable act. But where safety is remote, if somebody doesn't feel safe, they can never have experience that sexual pleasure. And so we try as much as possible to support these young women to be able to be comfortable with their own vaginas and bodies in the first place. And then secondly, also know how to protect themselves. Perhaps also, we also place a lot of emphasis on supporting them to negotiate safer sex, relationship skills, communication skills. So that's what we do. We do quite a lot.
Let's say that there's a young girl who is just watching this program. How should they know that this is the right time for the vagina to be explored?
Well, first of all, we acknowledge that as human beings, we're sexual beings,
yes.
Right? And a woman will know. Any human being, any individual will know when they are ready for anything.
Even at 9 years, she will know. Maybe I'm ready, but
No. I'm talking about perhaps young adults. But what I'm saying is that I think we also have policies and laws, and the law is clear. If you're going to have sex with anybody who's younger than 12, then that's statutory rape. It's very clear. And if somebody is under the age of 16, it's called sex with a younger person. And these are things that we are also trying to challenge, yeah? But at a policy level, there are a lot of conversations happening, because you also want to acknowledge that they do things. They play house, father and mother. So little things happen, right? But if a 17-year-old, 18-year-old comes in and fondles or touches a little girl, then obviously that's sexual abuse.
Already messages are coming through. Let me just take a couple of messages now. This first one comes from Daniel Sibanda. You are from South Africa. You're saying that, please, can she kindly explain the full uses of the vagina? Derek, thank you so much for your contribution there.
I don't understand the question, but I will attempt to answer that.
Yes.
I think the vagina is for sexual pleasure to start with, and I did talk about the importance of pleasure, but our emphasis is on safety, because if a woman is not feeling safe, I'm going to, what if I get pregnant? What if I is HIV positive? What if he's got an STI? What's going to happen? Yeah, that encounter will not be pleasurable. We want to make it clear. It will not be pleasurable. So if somebody's in a relationship, they want to feel safe, and that's the only way they can enjoy sex.
Okay, how can one make sex pleasurable? I'm just quoting your words.
Yeah, so first of all, you need to, sex should be consensual. I think sex between consenting adults is what will make, I think that is the basics, yeah? So if someone is being coerced, it's rape. Even if it's your girlfriend or your wife, if you're forcing them, they will not enjoy, right? The sex will not be pleasurable.
Isaac in Mandara, are you found throughout the country, or you just focus maybe in Harare? Please explain further. Talent, Jumo, that's your question there.
Okay, so we also have initiatives in different communities, including Mazoe, Concession, Goromonzi, Marondera, Mbire, Chiredzi, Chipinge. So those are some of the areas where we're also operational.
Baba Mackenzie, Kumbare, say varuku emphasize nyaye vagina chete, anti vagina yacho inoshanda irene penis. May she please clarify so that vakadi kungo batanidza vongoita one organization?
At this point, we want to just emphasize that our entry point at this point is the whole issue of HIV prevention among adolescent girls and young women. And statistics, I think the latest statistics from Zimfia show us that the HIV prevalence rate among young women and adolescent girls is 3 times higher than in their male counterparts. So I'm sure you agree with me that we need to pay special attention to the needs of the girl child and young women. And the issue of HIV prevention is very, very critical. But also, just last year, the ZRP, I think it's Commissioner Charamba,
the Zimbabwe Republic Police.
Zimbabwe Republic Police, they told us, I think that about 26 cases of rape are reported on a monthly basis. That's just a tip of the iceberg, because most of the cases of rape do not even make it to the police station.
Okay, what do you think is causing this rape? What could be the root cause of this increase of rape cases?
So I think one of the big things really is impunity. Nothing happens to the perpetrators, really. They just get away with it. So the rape culture is just like, it just happens and nothing happens. I mean, there are no consequences. Because if you go to a Harare magistrate court and you look at the statistics, cases of rape that involve girls who are older than 12, 13 going up, most of them are just thrown out, right? And for us, it gives the impression that for young adults and young women, it's much more difficult to get a conviction because of all the stereotypes that are associated with female sexuality and what happens. You find somebody's being asked, be it in the family setup or even sometimes by the police or in the courts, they're being asked, so what were you wearing? And why did you go to his house? But was he your boyfriend? All sorts of stories. And it's really, really painful because rape happens even, in relationships, even if we are trying to get someone to know someone. Okay,
earlier on you said that you're working with a cross-section of society.
Yes.
Now, focus on the commercial sex workers.
Yes, yes.
Do they know the importance of the vagina?
That's tough. Okay, so I don't know, but we call them sex workers,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So sex workers, adult sex workers, as Council Sisterhood, we believe that sex work is work. They are earning a living.
Sex work is work.
Sex work is work. They are even looking after children. They are their mothers, their sisters. They are sending their children through school whenever they manage to raise enough income. Some people, men who go to, kukuba sani
abuse the vagina.
No, I talked about ownership and control, right? And the body is the biggest resource, the one and only resource that we should have, we should have claim over, right? I mean, other resources, yes, we definitely should be able to access and have control over, but the starting point has got to be my body. And if a woman determines that she is going to use a vagina to earn an income, if it's an adult woman, then we are there to support that woman through a decision, but we want to make her navigate that space more safely. So at the moment, sex workers are criminalized, and we are saying decriminalize sex work because this is making them vulnerable.
Okay.
They're underground, they can't protect themselves.
In the first episode, you said, okay, we are having so many issues of the vagina being abused, especially through rape.
Yes.
Now, let's move to the sex workers now. How abuse the vagina?
Okay, so what happens with sex workers is that these are women who are just demanding a form of payment after a sexual encounter. But for some reason, society does not... The moment a woman starts asking for money, for some payment, then it becomes a problem. But if, as a woman, I'm just having sex with multiple partners, it doesn't matter. But the moment I start asking for some form of payment, then all of a sudden people get interested.
Your organization, Council Sisterhood, well, in other words,
so basically chihure is a word that is for us very political, because a woman who challenges the status quo is a hure. A woman who speaks her mind is a hure. Even in a company, in a big company, if a woman stands up for herself, they'll say, you know? Moreover, when you musha, if you she stands her ground, she refuses to do something ridiculous. So for us, we embrace that term, and we believe that women have rights and they have to be able to determine what happens with their bodies. I think the whole issue is it's a class issue, because if I'm giving this example, a woman, let's give for example Anushanam Bank, yeah.
Okay. So
and she's got everything she wants, but she just is going out with multiple. She's got my boyfriends akawanda. We don't.
Okay,
well, she's just a woman, miss. What about the men? The men are also engaging with
but we are focusing
with
on you.
Multiple partners, but we tend to label the
vagina.
woman. We tend to always.
Tom comes in the same vagina. Bruce comes in the same vagina. Petros comes in the same vagina. What is this?
I think it's about being a sexual being, and
it's okay.
And it's okay. I mean, if it's your vagina. You should be able to.
At the end of the day, it's your vagina.
At the end of the day, it's your vagina. It's your body. You have to make decisions about what happens with your body.
So, your existence in a baseri.
I mean, yes.
Important,
Yes, wow. I think society is on double standards. Yeah. So for the men, they can sleep with whoever. They'll never get quizzed. There are no labels attached to that. And like I said, we live in a patriarchal society, so men can explore. They can sleep with as many partners as they need, and there are no. So a man, in fact, in order to prove your virility, that you are a real man in society, right? So that's celebrated when it comes to men, but for some reason, if a woman is going to make a decision to say, I'm moving on, I'm going to be with somebody else, then all of a sudden it becomes a problem. And I think this is exactly what you are challenging. I don't think we should be trying to determine what people do with their bodies.
Okay, we are talking about the vagina, the vagina, the vagina. We'll be back shortly after this break.
Hello there, I'm Justin Matlatla, your host on your program Talking Technology. The program streams live to Facebook and other social media platforms. And on Talking Technology, we discuss the latest technological advancements, improvements, and updates. We invite into our studios in Harare technicians, experts, as well as sales representatives to discuss how technology impacts our lives, whether at home or at the workplace. Join me every Thursday at 5 p.m. on SlyMedia TV.
Welcome back. This is a live broadcast. It's SlyMedia TV, and it's a program called This and That. In the studio, I've got Talent Jumo, an activist from Katswe Sisterhood. She's also part of the Vagina Diaries. Right. If you move around the universities, tertiary institutions, young girls are also involved in this particular sex work. Maybe you want to shed more light on this growing trend.
Okay, so I think, yes, I mean, there have been a lot of reports around increasing vulnerabilities among our sisters in mostly in tertiary institutions. They are also forced to transact, being in a relationship because you simply need that packet of sanitary products, sanitary towels. Because toothpaste, you send an SMS home and they don't have money at home. We have families that are really impoverished, and
is that an excuse?
In the absence of my student grants, these girls are forced to pay for their own accommodation. They need transport money, they need food, they have needs, and it will happen. They'll be in relationships where men will basically sometimes take advantage of them, and it happens a lot. And I think we want to scale this conversation up. Yeah.
Many dara we are by university. I'm scrolling offer. Is that taking advantage? But you run as well.
Well, I mean, if sex among between consenting and among, yeah, maybe a threesome, consenting adults.
A threesome.
I just said.
Okay,
I mean, sex between among consenting adults is their business. But I think we also want to recognize the fact that sometimes girls are forced to do things because they have no choice, right? And I want to talk about some young women who are heads of households, and they've it makes you vulnerable, you know, when you're hungry or you're looking at your sisters, you want to send them through school. Sometimes you end up engaging or being in relationships that are quite exploitative, but because of the poverty, you know, you don't quite have a choice. And I mean, and I think we see it a lot. I mean, we also, even in Zimbabwe, women that are married, they're being battered, bruised, and being beaten up. But they just hang in. They don't have a choice. They just stay because they're also looking at their own children. So I mean, at a policy level, we're also trying to advocate that for children who are selling sex, there should be social safety nets, because they're children. They're not supposed to be in the streets selling sex. Therefore, the Ministry of Social Services should step in.
Seguru Nduna in Heathcliff. Angela Seguru, please may you kindly explain everything in Shona takatererawo asi nyasotaura ikuti Vagina diaries ndezveiko. Wadakunzwa muchishona.
Vagina diaries inyaya dzinechekuita nenhengo Yesikarudzi Yechikadzi. Tiriku
ipi nzeve
Nhengo Yechikadzi, Nhengo Yesikarudzi.
Okay.
Nhengo iyoyi inoona ndondo kana uri mwanasikana.
Inoona ndondo?
Inoona ndondo kana uri mwanasikana. Kubva paudiki hwako unongonzi dhonza matinji, hauzoti uri kwadhonzerei uri mwana mudiki, hausati wambonya nyuzi yazvepabonde. So unongochingoudzwa kuti kwaunoenda usazonotinyadzisa pariware. Saka unenge wakuti unonge urungoumbwa kurarama kwako kunongori nechekuita nevamwe vanhu vausati waziva. Iwe kukosha kwako iwewe kungoripo maringe nezvauchanoita kwaunenge wazoenda. Iwe pachako hauna kukosha. Saka ukange usina kuita izvi kuti uzofadza vari mberi, hauna kukosha. Wogozoudzwa zvimwe zvekuti kachiri kubva kuzvarwa kanzi kanodirwa mukaka. Kunzi pfepfe mukaka kuti asazoshereketa. Kati samu wotanga kuudzwa izvozvo, vamwe vanozoti vapinda mudzimba muye wozonzi kozvizvi. Asi pese apa vangu achitiswa zvinhu, dzimwe nguva unotoputiswa fodya. Zvonzi kosora kaviri, ukakosora zvoreba. Saka inhengo inoita kuti mwanasikana abatwe semudziyo wakamirira kutengeswa. Mudziyo unochinzi mboshainai chaizvo unyatsopenya kuitira kuti vachautenga vazokoshesa. Pedzezvo pauchatanga kuti ndakufa vakufambidzanawo nevakomana sezvinotarisirwa kumunhu. Usina kuzvitarisira, hapana notaura newe panyaya dzebonde. Usina kuzvitarisira ubatwa chibharo. Paunoedza kuti utaure nezvazvo, anotokuudza kuti haungochida. Asi nemhaka yekuti hautozivi kuti zvinomborevei, zvakamira sei. Dzimwe nguva munhu anobva takupererwa nekutya kuti ndingaita sei. Saka ende pakukura kwako zvaunosangana nazvo zvakawanda.
Saka makaumba inonzi Vagina diaries.
Vagina diaries zvinyorwa zvatinenge tichinyora nyaya idzodzo dzinosangana nadzo. Dzinosangana nenhengo iyo Yesikarudzi. Zvandataura kuti hapakauma. Hapana kumira zvakanaka. Nokuti vamwe varume ndondo yacho uri pabonde ipapo mabvumirana kuti ngatishandisei, ngatizvidzivirirei, asi munhu anokubvisira chidziviririso chacho kondomu racho rinobviswa.
Abvisirwa kondomu akatarisa uita sei panguva iyoyo tichichengetedza vagina yedu.
Pane nyaya yedu.
Paipai akubvisa kondomu.
Pane zvinhu zviviri. Tinoti manga mabvumirana asi asi toda kuti vanasikana vanzwisise kana kuti even nevanoti pamaservices vanzwisise kuti hongu mabvumbira nepekutanga asi pane zvazoitika zvaita kuti ndipinde padambudziko handiti ndinzwe kuti ndazviexposa to maybe HIV or something like that kana zvaitika zvakadaro chekutanga munhu uyu atokanganisira it's a violation anofanira kuti yatove rape yatove abuse handiti saka zviri kwauri unokwanisa kuti
kondom rakaputika kana mamusina
kuputika kubvisa
ukutobvisa
okay kubvisa
uye mukadzi wacho anobvaita se
pane zvinhu zviviri pane morning after nokuti nditaure program iyi tizofanira toiti morning after diaries morning after mapiritsi ekuti kana mudzimai uchinge waita bonde risina kudzivirirwa unokwanisa kunomawana kuchipatara kana kuenda kufamasi wonwa kuitira kuti usabate pamiri ndochekutanga chechipiri post exposure prophylaxis for HIV because munhu yakubvisira condom mamabvumirana zvakanaka handiti but akuzokubvisira condom but izvozvo hazvichareve kuti
mutambo unomira
wave hazvichareve kuti hausi exposed saka enda kuchipatara unotaura nemanesi kuti inini pane zvaitika ndikufungidzira kuti ndaexposwa to HIV ne-unwanted pregnancy. For HIV, I think vanongokutesta vakaona kuti hausi HIV positive vanofanira kukupa post exposure prophylaxis. Dambudziko ratinaro kazhinji hurumende yedu nekushomeka kwemari vanenge vachiti ndiye vanhu vabatwa chibharo, asi toziva kuti zvinonetsa mumakommunities materu mukuti munhu aprove kuti abatwa chibharo zvinonetsa. So but we are saying kuti ndipo panofanira kushandikwa zvinhu ipapo kana tiri kuda kuti tidzivirire utachiona kubatwa kweutachiona nemadzimai nevasikana.
She was just explaining the essence of the Vagina diaries, explaining there in the vernacular Shona, which is widely used here in Zimbabwe, explaining the essence of the group. But as we wind up this discussion, how would you come up with a summary? How would you summarize this?
So the summary is that June 16 is Day of the African Child. And as Catholic Sisterhood, we are clear that we are tired of the speeches and the conferences, you know, where we have government ministers come to speak to us and make more promises. We really want them to deliver first on promises made in the past. We are trying to push for action. So we have launched, the drive for, the 30 days of action to say, for a change, let's see the action. We have a lot of good policies. We have had the promises. Can we get some action for a change? So what we're also trying to do now is to mobilize practical support for the young women that we have encountered. They want to go back to school. For some of them, I did share a story of a young girl with two sisters. One is 12 years old, the other one is 9 years old. The 9-year-old is still in school, but they are both selling sex in order to keep the 9-year-old in school, honestly. And we are just waiting. We tell ourselves we don't have money. In the face of HIV, these girls, first of all, their dreams are shattered. They are not in school. I believe that education is the key to one's empowerment. And so we want these girls back in school. They are children. Honestly, what has happened to society? They are children. They're supposed to be in school. 18 so that they can tell them they are criminals, because sex work is criminalized. So we are saying let's do something and right now, because they're not going to be 9 forever, right? We can't wait. And they tell us we don't have money. But we have seen a lot of campaigns targeting the foreskin. And men are running away. They don't want with their foreskins, right? If you look at the campaign, Yakuta male circumcision, men haven't been forthcoming. And in any case, it's just an additional, right? You still need to use condoms. So you're saying, where HIV is 3 times higher among girls and young women, that's where the tragedy is. It's a ticking time bomb. Can we not invest more resources in that area and ensure that we keep these girls safe? If we can find money to chop off foreskins, and we surely can get money.
Okay, my
for our girls. It's not the male circumcision, the drive towards HIV prevention, but we know it's just an additional measure. And in any case, honestly, I'm an HIV activist, and I believe that we need a balance. That's why we have had to talk about, to say pay attention to the vagina also. We have seen the male circumcision, millions being channeled there. We have seen my billboards. We have, my personalities, my big billboards. We've seen that for the penis. Can we also pay attention to the vagina? Because in the first place, they always acknowledge HIV as a woman's face. Because the greatest percentage of people who are living with HIV or who are being infected is among our species, the one that identifies with the vagina.
That's Talent Jumo, activist from Katwe Sisterhood. She's also part of the Vagina Diaries. Thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast. Remember, we shall continue with this discussion